Hey there, good day everybody, and I'm saying good day because we're broadcasting all over the world. So it's Wednesday morning at 10 Mountain here where I am. I'm coming to you live from our Humanities Team studio in Boulder, Colorado. I'm Steve Farrell, a co-founder of Humanities Team and the worldwide executive director. And you can see these two illustrious thought leaders that are my special guests today. I'm thrilled to have them with me. I'm going to give them a formal introduction in 1 second, but as you can see, Jacqueline Way and Dr. Rowshanak. So, wow, we're going to have ourselves quite an hour here. Thank you all for being here. Stay with us to the end because there's a lot of really delicious stuff we're going to get to. So, so Jacqueline is coming to you from Vancouver, here in Canada live, and then Dr. Roshanak is coming to you live from Egypt. So wow, I'll introduce our producer here at the end of the program who's bringing us all together, and we got some video clips we're going to bring in. We're going to be bringing in your comments and questions. So pretty cool, huh? So very exciting. As always. We have a theme. Our theme here today is serving the divine design, serving the divine design. So I hope that sounds as delicious to you as it is. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. So Jacqueline Way, let me introduce her first, and then Dr. Roshanak. Jacqueline Way is a dedicated world changer. Her sole purpose is to teach, inspire, and empower the hearts and minds of people globally to create a happy, meaningful life and world together. She expresses her purpose through her global giving movement, 365 Give, a charitable organization created with her son with a simple vision: change the world one give one day at a time. We'll tell you more about that. She also is the world-renowned keynote speaker of the viral TEDx talk, How to Be Happy Every Day It Will Change the World. You might want to write that down and Google it. It's quite a talk. It's How to Be Happy Every Day It Will Change the World. Okay, and welcome to the program, Jacqueline. Great to have you with us. Hooray. And now Dr. Roshanak. She's a credentialed computational, clinical, and behavioral neuroscientist whose work has supported the transformation of countless lives. As founder of Access to the Past, she combines the power and process of science with emotional and spiritual intelligence to generate compelling and innovative strategies that help people and businesses become more purposeful, effective, and prosperous. And then Dr. Roshanak and Jacqueline are powerful collaborators building conscious programming and community together. One example is their weekly Clubhouse program. It's called Humanities Team with Neil Donald Walsh, which you can catch later today at 1 p.m. Pacific, and every Wednesday, write that down, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific on the Humanities Team website, spelled with a Y. Up at the top, there's something live events, and if you pull that down, it'll show you the live events for each month. You'll see every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, their Clubhouse event with Neil. So invite you to check that out too. It's amazing. So welcome to the program. Roshanak, great to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I was
right.
a little bit nervous about the Wi-Fi connection. And if I have a little jiggle in the movement, I apologize, but I had to jimmy rig it with my phone so that I could be here. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Back at you, Roshanak. What time is it there in Egypt?
I believe it is 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay. Wow. So we've got about a 9-hour time difference. So yeah, and probably an hour earlier, Jacqueline, where you are, it's 10, about 10, going on 10:15 here. So again, isn't this cool where, there is no such thing as time, right? Because it's all over the place. Who knows what time it is?
That's right.
Depends
time
on
is
where
actually is a man-made construct. So if you look at the history of time and how we have it in this, the way that we use it, it's not something that was divinely given in the way that we use it. It's really exciting. When we think about, our divine design and the way that we process everything, even the world as we see it comes through, and our perception of the world is on a little delay. By the time all that information gets into our eyes and goes through our brains, reality has moved on, and now we're just seeing it on a little bit of a time lag. So,
right, yeah, with this program, and gosh, I remember reading the biography of Albert Einstein where he was bringing this whole thing out where, he's saying, you know what, it just doesn't, there's not an absolute here. Where are you in space? There's this time-space continuum thing. And, it's not an absolute like what everybody thought it was. And of course, he rocketed to fame with that science and so much more. But so let's go to your personal stories because they're fascinating. And of course, as I mentioned here, a little further into the introduction, you all collaborate. So we'll get to that in a minute. But before I get to that, so Rowshanak, just take us through before you came into this incredible collaboration with Jacqueline. What was happening? How did you just rock it up to where Jacqueline was saying, "Oh my God, I got to partner with this woman"? Tell us a little bit about your personal story, if you would.
Thank you so much. So I have been very much intrigued by the way that we connect to our reality and to ourselves and each other since I was a child. At 4 years old, I wanted to be a nuclear physicist because I'd learned that atoms were the very basis of the fabric of reality. And then I found out that we could split them, the fusion and fission. And I thought, oh my goodness, we can play with reality. This is very interesting. And as I moved forward, I realized that everything comes through the brain. Everything we see, we think, we feel, processes through our brain as long as we're in this mortal coil. And so I started studying psychology of twins separated at birth when I was 12. Went on to college to get a bachelor's degree in behavioral neuroscience so that I could understand the biological basis of behavior. And then went on to understand computational neuroscience. That's where I do my PhD work. And that was in understanding information processing in the brain. Instead of going reductionist, where how every single cell works, it was how populations come together. So you can start to see this sort of evolution of my interest in being a deeply spiritual person since I was a child, and the powerful science as I studied, genetics and went into neuroscience for my degree, my PhD degree. It was always about how is it that we are connecting and working together, even the cells of the brain, right? The population, the cells together, working together, how we get that information, how do we get our reality? So I did that. I went on to work in the operating room doing deep brain stimulation neurosurgeries for neuropsychiatric patients, understanding and specializing in mental health. And at some point, really at the peak of my career, I thought, I need to be doing more. I need to be doing something else. And while I appreciate that my research has served many, I really thought that more than just the scientific and medical field deserve to understand our nature, because that knowledge makes what is intractable tractable. Science brings into an understanding that which we otherwise, are sort of trying to catch in the ether. And with that understanding, then we know what our nature is and how we can function in the ways that we direct our intentionality, our conscious awareness is us being in the present moment, but also knowing how to operate this machine internally and also the world around us externally. So I moved into this work where I bring the basis of science and spirituality. I bring in the context of wisdom and emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence so that the knowledge, which is the quantitative, can be put into context, which is the qualitative. And we know when to use our tools. The knowledge gives us the tools. But if you have a hammer, you have to know how and when to use it. You can build a house or you can break one down. And what we have in spiritual and emotional intelligence gives us that context. A tremendous amount of knowledge ultimately is a tremendous amount of wisdom. And that helps us to know how to move forward. And ultimately, as we live our own best lives, connecting with other people, allowing them and assisting them and supporting them in living their best lives.
Yeah, beautiful. Boy, and where you bring in all of that science and research, for a lot of people, it makes, sometimes this ground when we talk about conscious living can be spongy for people, but it really puts a cement slab, right under your feet.
Right.
Okay, I got it now. I got kind of how this works and how I'm expressing that way. So it's a real gift. Let me come over to you here, Jacqueline. And so I mentioned in your introduction this incredible a TEDx talk that you gave, which is really something everybody should check out. And it started, more importantly, and then it started or drew attention to and really created momentum around this 365 Give with your son. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Oh, okay. So we got an audio. Uh-oh. Okay. So something happened with our audio track there with Jack. Okay. So let's see. So this is, I mentioned, when you do a live program like this, you need a lot of courage.
There we go. We got it.
Okay, here we are. All right.
Yay, live.
Jacqueline is in our conscious awareness now.
Exactly. It's okay. All my energy was out there. It's all good. That's all we needed.
Right.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Steve, and good morning, everybody, for joining us. It's so great to see friends here. Maureen, I see you. And so many beautiful smiling faces in the audience. Thank you. Zarko, I see you. And there's another Jacqueline there. I see you. It's so nice to have smiling faces. Tom, thanks for popping in. And Barbara and Sue, Nancy. This is the real treat where
you can see them.
I know I get to see everybody. I know you can't because you're on your phone right now.
But I'm seeing them virtually for you.
Exactly. But I just wanted to recognize the people. Stephen, thank you for popping in. It's so nice to actually talk to people face to face and be part of this community. I'm so excited to be here with everyone. And, this moment for me is remarkable. I read, and Steve and I have talked about this, but, I read Neil's book, A Conversation with God, when I was 3, when it first came out. I always make my joke of, I read it when I was just 3. But I read Conversation with God when it came out. And that book literally has put me on my path to today and the work that I do in the world. And I've had the beautiful opportunity, obviously, to share that with Neil and to be so grateful that I can literally stand back at my life and say, because of all of these moments, we talk about that zooming out and all of these moments, it's led me right here to today. So I just want to say how blessed and grateful I am to be here with each and every one of you, and how grateful I am that you're taking the time to be part of these conversations, because they're important. And the more we talk about our own stories and you're able to tap in as well and find what resonates with you, we know that keeps connecting us. As Dr. Roshanak said, it's the most important thing right now. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And Steve was talking about my own story, and I'm a very blessed parent. I'm sure many of you are parents and grandparents yourself. And many years ago now, I became the very blessed parent of a beautiful little boy. I'm an adoptive parent of 3 gorgeous boys that I adopted with my husband here in Vancouver. And one of the really interesting processes with the adoption process, and Steve knows this as well, is that you have to go through like this big interview. And one of the really great questions they asked me is, what are the expectations you have for your children? And I had never really sat and thought about that one. And the instant thing that I had said is, I want to raise a kind, compassionate, loving little human being. And if he did nothing else but show up in the world as that, then I had done my job as a parent. And so I decided that before he started even school, I needed to really instill, teach, and show up for him in that way. So I was setting the example for him on his own journey through his life to be that kind, compassionate, loving little man. So on his 3rd birthday, I decided to start a personal parenting project with him. And we were going to do one thing to give back to the world every day for 365 days. And yes, it seemed like a lot at the time. But, I thought if we were going to actually do this, it had to be instilled in him. It had to become part of who he was. It was already part of who I was. It was also lessons my parents had told me in my life. And so at the time, I started a blog around this, and we called it 365 Give, for the simple purpose that we could record our stories. It was something he could look back on in his life and see the journey that we took together. And, my own little personal intention behind it is if we could inspire just one person to give, that it was going to add a little bit more love, a little bit more compassion to the world. And the really exciting part about it is it inspired a few people. Surprisingly, people started to read the blog. They followed our stories because they were inspired by Nick. We showed the world that even a 3-year-old could start giving. It could be that simple. And when we look at giving and being of service, and it's such a huge part of the message that Neil always puts across, is we all have a little light in us, right? We have that light that can be of service to the world. We just have to find it. It's part of our own journey in this world that when we find our own inner light, we get to give it away. it doesn't cost us anything. It's that beautiful thing that we say that giving truly is love and happiness. And we all can give it freely. It can come from our hearts. We put it into our hands and we can give it out to the world every single day. And that's how we can all make that contribution of what we talk about to awareness and consciousness, and how we can be part of that global change in the world. And you can be as small as a 3-year-old, you can be as old as a 100-year-old, but we all have that power through shining our own light in the world to come out and make that difference and that impact and leave our own footprint and legacy in the world. And so that's what we do with 365 Give, is we continue to teach and inspire. We have a program now, a school program that's been instilled in over 500 schools globally, and we have thousands of people all over the world that have joined us for the simple purpose that we want to create a better, happier world together. Thank you, Steve, for giving me and allowing me that time.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. And do check out, viewers, 365 Give. You can go right there or Google it if you're typing it in and it doesn't take you right there. What a beautiful site. What a beautiful idea, right? Giving 365 days a year. So just little spoonfuls every day. Or maybe big spoonfuls.
Yeah, I think the beautiful part is, and Roshanak and I talk about this a lot, it created that habit for me, that intention of putting love out to the world. And I got to tell you, when I did this with my son, it took me on that path. It created the awareness. It made me present in every moment when my son and I were giving together. And that's when I say, when it has led me right to here with all of you. I didn't know when I started that journey with my son, the deeper understanding and the deeper awareness and the consciousness it created for myself. And that's the beautiful part when we talk about, our practices that we do every day. Some people meditate, some people, sit in quiet time. We all find our ways to become conscious and aware. And this ended up being my path, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, well, as you know, talking about changes in a life. I mean, people have heard my story. Whoa, big U-turn, big U-turn. And this is where we find real prosperity and the deliciousness of life and all of these things. We're going to talk about these things here during the hour. But first, you brought in Conversations with God, and of course it shares that what now science is affirming, right? The Renaissance Science Foundation. Many scientists now are affirming, actually going all the way back, over 50 years, the Nobel Prize winner for physics sharing that we're actually one. This Big Bang thing is real. But beyond the Big Bang, there still is this deep connection. We're an emanation still of the one. So our eyes deceive us. This Albert Einstein quote, this optical delusion is what's really creating problems in the world today. So then Conversations with God goes into that, and all of the properties of the divine, loving presence, service, these are our properties. So, wow, we start giving like that, like you say, and it's like, God, this feels good, versus doing hedonist things of, where maybe, I lived in Silicon Valley, so I did see some of these really get-rich things, and where it's like, well, why isn't this bringing me happiness? My God, I've got all the riches in the world. I have no idea why I'm not real happy, Well, this is why, how are we made? What's our design? Remember the theme of this program, divine design. So
exactly.
We have a divine design that where we understand how it works, and then we, give, like to 365 Give, or whatever our families can find the one thing. Sometimes it's an aging parent, right? Or it's a child. Sometimes it's right in the home. Other times there's all of this abundance of energy, of wealth, and we can give to many things. So we all, where we go within, we find that station in life, that thing that we're called to. And that's another fundamental thing from Conversations with God. It's anti-guru, because we're never looking outside of ourselves for somebody. We're directed to go within, and that's where everything is right there. We go within, and our connection, and this loving presence, and the guidance, and all this stuff, just falls into place. The cognitive dissonance melts away. We just go into flow and live our lives.
I love that you said that. Yeah, I was going to say, Dr. Roshanak and I were just talking about this morning. We had a brilliant conversation. I'd love for her to share a little bit with you all, because it talked exactly about this, Steve.
So this is a good segue into, now you all then could see, oh my God, look at this other fabulous person I need to collaborate with. I mean, now you two collaborate, all over the place. They're both, as I mentioned in the introduction, they're both on the humanities team board of advisors. They're brilliant and contributing in huge, huge ways to humanities team. They also started a humanities team channel on Clubhouse. This is this thing, Wednesday Today, 1 Pacific, every Wednesday with Neale Donald Walsch, which we invite you to make sure you load that app down to your phone and go check it out, because they're really fantastic conversations. So let's talk a little bit about that, and maybe you each can just come in briefly. What caused you to decide to create that? And I know it's a growing community, so you've got a lot happening there.
Jacqueline, I'll let you go with that.
Sure. I manifested Dr. Roshanak. That's really how it all started. So for those of you that know the power of manifestation, I'll share a funny little story about the two of us together. And when Dr. Roshanak and our paths started crossing, and this was on the app Clubhouse, the social audio app gave people a lot of relief during COVID, where it was a place we could really come together in large groups. We would hold these spaces with thousands of people, and still do today. And it's an opportunity where people can come up and have meaningful conversations. And Dr. Roshanak and I found ourselves always in the same rooms, but she scared me because her knowledge and wisdom is so remarkable. But we also discovered, and as you can even see just from looking at us, we could literally be sisters. And we found this beautiful bond that connected us, our passion for both science and spirituality. And it made a really beautiful team together, where, we just had such a similar belief, and yet our paths were so different, and we come from different worlds, but yet we found this place where our ideas and the way that we spoke about similar concepts and ideas, they just came together beautifully. And so really, I wanted a neuroscientist, by my side in my life, to make sure I wasn't absolutely half-baked and crazy. And so this is my sister that I walk along the world with, and together we do some really beautiful work and inspire conversations that really allow people to dig into their own personal awareness and consciousness and find what's true for them. And that's what I think we talk about a lot about, is how do you find your own truth? How do you take those steps in your life, recognize them, and find your own truth within that? Roshanak, let's turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. That was beautiful. Yes, apparently I was manifested by Jacqueline, and so here I am.
No, she didn't exist before that time.
I did not exist before that, and I'm exactly what Jacqueline wanted. And as it turns out, she's exactly what I needed. And I'm so grateful that Jacqueline manifested me. Really, I love the idea that we are connected to each other and humanities team. It was Jacqueline's idea originally, to explore the possibility for us to bring humanities team into Clubhouse and to a larger audience. We have not had the opportunity before to really connect as much as we have been able to, with such power and regularity as now having the club and having Neale Donald Walsch, who's absolutely extraordinary and very funny. Come on week after week, giving of his time freely, because when he was reading a couple of his favorite books, he said he would have done anything to have 5 minutes with those authors. So every week he comes on and he allows people to come up to the stage, as it's called, and speak with him directly. And they ask him questions about conversations with God. They ask him questions about God. They ask him questions about life. And Jacqueline and I sit up there next to him, and support in whatever way we can, just laughing at his jokes. I'm just kidding. And I think it's an incredible opportunity for this weekly conversation with Neale Donald Walsch and his profound connection and authenticity to all that is. He is very connected to nature. And I don't mean that in a tree hugging way, but in the nature of our being. And this is the thing that most people are looking for. They're looking for meaning in life. What's my purpose? What's my meaning? What am I doing here? Why is God doing this? These kinds of perennial questions. And Neale always comes and presents a perspective that is at once familiar and novel. And we all always leave after the time that we have together really enriched and much more at peace. And besides this weekly, we also bring on special guests. We, for example, have brought on also Dr. Stephen Post, who is the world's expert in the science of giving. Steve has been on our show. And we have others who've come. We've done some shows ourselves. We've talked about shifting from living to conscious living.
Math Heart Institute, that was
brought the math
whenever with them as well.
Yes. The Heart Math Institute we have brought in so much of what is representative of what we need to create a world in which all can thrive. What we need in order to be able to be more at peace with ourselves, what we need to come into conscious awareness. So, and we have a lot more lined up. We're just getting started. So in Humanities Team Club on Clubhouse, we're able to have a more intimate conversation. We're able to have a different level than one can have in attending a virtual event, attending an in real life event, from other platforms, even Facebook or Instagram Lives, because there is this live real-time conversation. And you get the energy of all of us. And so since it's never the same room twice, it's never the same energy twice either. So we have really great topics that we uncover that are related to conscious living, that are related to how we can improve our own lives, how we can improve the human condition, how we can create a world in which all can thrive, how we can come into unity and peace. And we do it through science and spirituality. And so I find this to be exceptional in the offer that it gives to all who are involved. And I'm really appreciative that Humanities Team has been so supportive and allowing this, because it's exactly in line with the mission. If you want to bring the world to global consciousness by 2040, we have to reach more people. We have to have more conversations. And it's like going to the gym. You don't go once and you're done. It's not one and done, right? Even if you go to a certain level, now you've got to keep going for maintenance. And these conversations allow us, yes, we have weekly meetings with Neil Donald Walsh to have conversations about conversations with God, but we also have these different events as well. And when you join Clubhouse and Humanities Team, and it's all free, absolutely free, you join Humanities Team Club, then you will be able to see the schedule and the notification of what's coming up and what we're planning. And I find this to be so important, because when we talk about having global consciousness, when we talk about living in a world that is at one in peace, then what you need is to offer the opportunity to connect, the opportunity to not have echo chambers, the opportunity to have different conversations in a respectful, safe place, to explore, to discuss, and for it to be extremely personal. And as I said, even if we think we know everything, which we of course don't, it offers the opportunity to keep it fresh, because attention is the most precious resource that we have. And when we are going through our daily lives, our attention, we can become distracted. It can move out of where we'd really like to have it if we're not focusing our attention intentionally. Attention and intention. And this way, we have the opportunity to come back again and again and keep it top of mind. And so when we're living consciously and intentionally, we are continuously reshifting our focus back to center. We're continuously reshifting ourselves, like doing a little meditation multiple times a day. If you take, Jacqueline has a new thing where she's helping people individually what they do for themselves. It's 5 times a day. Just take a little break, do a little meditation. I'll let Jacqueline speak for herself, but it brings us back to center. And that is so important when we see all the different forces, intentional and unintentional, that would pull us off center, that would throw us off balance. And you find a community of people that are listening to you, that are talking to you, that are supporting you, that are on the journey with you. And that's such a beautiful thing when we think about a world in which we truly feel this was worth it.
Yes. So, Jacqueline, we're going to go to you next, but let me share a few things. First of all, beautiful. Yes, this was worth it. And then sprinkling your conversation with these things that you brought in, meditation and stillness and practices throughout the day to stay in this conscious space. And you brought in just this whole objective that was part of our download in Humanities Team to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. It's actually the very same inspiration that Neil and I had in 2003, 19 years ago, when we launched Humanities Team, and we were talking about awakening the world to oneness. It's the same thing, oneness. When we're living in this place of oneness, of connection, of this place of interdependence, of this place of, it's a benevolent, not a malevolent one. In fact, it's a non-dual one. All of these things, these are, when inside of conscious living, some of the core wisdom. You can go to changinghumanitiesfuture.org, okay? changinghumanitiesfuture.org. We're going to peppering this conversation with all of what this wisdom is. But if you go to that website, you'll see just how this whole initiative got launched, what the core wisdom is, what we're inviting you to do. There are lots of calls to action. So even this program, this is not about us, blah, 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 back and forth. We're going to be throwing calls to action at you. In fact, I'm going to start with one here in 1 second, because this is, if we're going to make conscious living pervasive worldwide in 18 years, holy cow, that's a big lift, right? We're all going to come down on the playing field. We all are going to have a role. So let me bring in what was at the core of this thing when we launched this initiative called Changing Humanity's Future with Neil Donald Walsch, Humanities Team with Neil Donald Walsch and the Conversations with God Foundation. And now it's grown. So Jacqueline and Dr. Rowshanak and Michael Bernard Beckwith and Greg Braden and all of these leaders, the thought leaders all over the world, this is their thing. They may not use conscious living as the term. They may talk about unity consciousness or oneness or health and well-being even, but we're talking about the very same thing. We're talking about living in a world where this 365 give thing, where we're going within and we're saying, oh my God, I'm a part of the one. Connection always equals responsibility. Responsibility always equals positive action. It's just what mature people do, right? So when we walk through that door of consciousness and see our connection, we just naturally come into responsibility, and then we find, as we go within the particular station in life of, for Steve, we're going to start Humanities Team. For Roshanak and Jacqueline, well, we're going to start 365 Way, and we're going to go create this Clubhouse program. We're going to go write books and all the things that you all do, right? We find our station in life. So, and it's an easy thing, where doors just naturally open and other doors naturally close when we're conscious. This one, this wisdom center of one, we're right in it. So we're not anymore this local wisdom that's just our brain. Man, we go way beyond that when we're living consciously, right? We can, all of the wisdom of the universe is there within our reach, literally. It's there within our reach. Now, okay, so let me go to the problem statement, then a first call to action here. So what we noticed about a year ago was and I'm going to guess, viewers, just put yourself there. Think about this as I walk through this. We were noticing that there were these conversations in kitchens and in living rooms and on porches and in buses and on airplanes and at offices, where people would just go into this whole, especially in the last few years as these weather patterns have become more severe, with smoke and fires in the West and weather patterns that are destroying homes. We lost 1,000 homes in Boulder just this year to fires, where people now will say, boy, I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seems like things maybe are getting worse here. And we've got the Ukraine war, which is going on, and there in the United States Supreme Court decisions that can be troubling for some people, and shooters because we don't have our arms around gun control. And just the list is quite long once you get into that list. And people sitting around a table just start saying, wow, and there's this and this and this. And I'm not so worried about myself if we're, older, but I've got kids, and our kids' kids, future generations. I'm more than a little concerned about the world. So that conversation, this is the conversation I'm talking about, which most of us have been in. I've been in these conversations. And interestingly, nowhere in the conversation does this conscious living, this thing that we all experience, you're watching because you're conscious, right? Conscious living surfaces, well, no, but there's, where somebody's hand goes up, no, but there's the thing that journeys us like way through this thing, to the other side. I mean, way through this thing, where this whole first domino, where we're conscious of things we've been talking about, where we see and feel these things, where our worldview changes, where we're looking out literally right now, just right now, looking around. It's a different world. It's the sacred, right? That's what being conscious is. The world is sacred. And so we naturally go into the responsibility and positive action, all these things. We create health and well-being. We do it in our homes, in our communities, in the world. So it was like what we discussed was, why in these conversations isn't somebody, or maybe more than one person, standing up and saying, wait, what are we, enough of hand-wringing, everybody. Come on, what are we going to get out of this? There's this whole thing that's already started. We're, way down the path already. There are lots of us that are conscious, or, we've got, look at this 365 Give, and these women with their Clubhouse and all these good things going on in the world, and so like we're on the journey, and we're going to get to the other side, and future generations are going to have a really nice life, right? So this is the call to action here. So for everybody here, if you resonate with what we're talking about, will you be that voice? Will you embody that? Will you express that, even if it's unpopular and your parents are there and your brothers and sisters and they're going, conscious living? Because, right, even me, with my family, and I've been doing this for a long time, 20 years. And even in my family, there people will go, yeah. But, it doesn't matter. Like, it's real. The science is in here. So where we just, we stand up, and it doesn't even have to be serious. It can be fun. It's exciting. I mean, there are beautiful things about living consciously that we can bring in. So this is a call to action. Will you be that person? Now during the holidays, beautiful time for this call to action. You're with family and friends. The conversation turns to what's happening in the world. Will you be the one to say, hey, there are really cool things happening. Let's spiral up. Enough of the spiral down. Let's spiral up. We're going good places, right? So that's what this whole making conscious living pervasive thing is. Changing humanity's future thing is. We've actually created, in Humanities Team, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We've created a conscious streaming platform where there's all this beautiful content. We're going to go look at a couple of clips here with Rowshanak and Jacqueline in a second that are on the Humanities Stream Plus platform. They've got 2 programs on there right now. Neil Donald Walsh has over 80 right now on the Humanities Stream Plus platform. As a nonprofit, our objective, get that price down, down, down. It's not like for-profit of, we need to, let's get top-line growth and bottom-line growth. No, I came from the for-profit world. No, when can we get the price down again? And we're saying, well, some people can't afford it. Let's get a one-for-one program going. Let's give it away to people that can't afford it now or in the future, right? So all of those things are going on here in Humanities Team to get a hub into people's homes that has all of this. Neil Donald Walsh and Michael Beckwith and Greg Braden and most of the thought leaders in this whole conscious community have programs, master classes or transformational education programs. These live programs are on that platform. So if you go to humanitiesteam.org and scroll down, you'll see the little promotion for Humanities Stream Plus. That's what it's called, Humanities Stream Plus. And you'll see, and then if you go into the library, you can scroll all day, literally. Oh my God, I'm still scrolling through programs. And they're science. So like Roshanak, where you've got a scientist in there, so you get rid of the spongy ground. You got some solid ground under your feet, or you're ready for Neil Donald Walsh or Michael Bernard Beckwith, or and everything in between. There are all of these programs in there, even Barbara Marx Hubbard's programs and things from when she was here. So let's go now to some clips. So let's go first to Jacqueline Way. This is a clip. She and Roshanak, and they mentioned Dr. Stephen, I'm sorry, and I'm forgetting his last name, but was part
Stephen
of
Post.
Yeah, thank you. Was part of your Global Oneness Summit program. Let's go to that clip first. We're going to see Jacqueline there talking a little bit about changing humanity's future. Then we're going to go to a clip with Roshanak where she's talking about it. Then we're going to come back and talk, the three of us, just about this whole changing humanity's future thing. Okay, here we go.
And Stephen, what I loved what you shared is the real life examples, because I think that sometimes that's what we need to hear is, I want our audience to think today, what are your real life examples where you could use this method that Stephen is talking about, where you could stop and you could look and you could listen. These are just seconds in our lifetime that we could use as one of the tools and strategies that we're going to get into shortly that will help us become more conscious. This isn't just a big spiritual term where you have to go sit on the side of a mountain and meditate to, you are at peace. This is how do we function in our everyday life? What are the things that we can do to create this awareness in the moments of our day? It doesn't mean that we're not going to have bad moments in our life. It doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen, like the COVIDs of our worlds, the things we can never expect. It doesn't mean we're not going to be triggered. But I think what I'm really hearing from you both is the difference between when we put these practices into place as part of our everyday life, we're going to go from reacting, being triggered in our life to certain situations, to more of a place of, I can respond to this rather than overreaction. And I think we see this in the world right now, where we see the whole world is overreacting in the time that we have. And this is where conscious living, I really feel, comes to our benefit and where we can thrive, that we can all calm down, take that moment so that we're coming from, rather than reaction, we're coming from a place of being able to consciously, awarenessly, with our brain intact and in calmness, to respond to what's happening in our everyday lives.
Okay, and that was Jacqueline Way, as you could see, with her beautiful, it's funny, we just transitioned right into where she's talking about, well, out in the world, blah, 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 but we can be, this bringing in these very same points, and where we're proactive and not reactive. So beautiful points there made. And that was the Global Oneness Summit. That was a panel during the 2022 Global Oneness Summit, a beautiful panel. And that whole thing where you had I think it was over 60 panels, is all on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. And that's a real goodie if you want to go check that out. There's a search feature on Humanity Stream Plus, and you can just plug in Jacqueline Way or Dr. Roshanak. It'll take you right to that program. So just any couple of words before I want to go over to this beautiful other clip of Dr. Roshanak, but anything that you want to embellish there, Jacqueline, in your message?
I think it's always good to watch those back. I always try to go back and watch them as well. I think the main message on that little clip is that, when we all take the time to find the practices in our own life, and on Clubhouse, Dr. Roshanak and I talk a lot about these in the rooms that we hold, and Humanity's team, and we try and bring that out in our guests as well. What are those practices that we can implement in our life every day so we stop the reaction in the world? I mean, it's easy to turn on any of the news streams at any time, and we just look out, and it's all overwhelming. And, Dr. Roshanak is the one to talk about, and why I stand with her, to talk about what happens to our nervous system, what happens to our brains, but instead, how can we calm that whole system down through regular practices in our day that work best for us? And what we know is every person on this planet is an individual, and it's different for everyone. And so we all have to take that time to find these strategies in our life that help us access the best of ourselves, that help us to lead our lives from a place of heart rather than just our head, which sometimes can take us down the wrong path. So, but I know Dr. Roshanak will touch more on this, and especially through the clips that she offered. So thank you.
Okay, good. Let's go to her clip. Yeah, we don't want that big boat anchor to be directing everything. We got more going on. So beautifully put. Okay, let's go to this clip here of Dr. Roshanak. Now, this is from this Changing Humanity's Future initiative. So twice a year we do a big program, a global gathering. So, and this was the November 30 global gathering that we did, which with a lot of these leaders, including board of advisors. And this was some of the contributing from Dr. Roshanak during that global gathering for Changing Humanity's Future. Okay, we're going to go take a look at the clip and come back and talk about it.
And we are as much a part of nature as everything else. And when we deny our nature, I'm a scientist, I'm a neuroscientist. When we deny our nature, we put ourselves into a false inferiority. We judge ourselves, we blame and shame ourselves. And in doing so, we blame and shame each other. And when we're in that shame, our brain changes. You could see a kind, friendly face. And if you look under a scanner and see someone's brain, when they see a kind, friendly face, they think, oh, that's great. It's a kind, friendly face. But when you put someone else in a scanner who's in that shame, who's in that trauma, then actually that area of the brain, that frontal cortex that lights up, it doesn't light up anymore. And another part of the brain does light up, the one that leads you to fear and anxiety. And when we talk about moving into living consciously, which is the mission of humanity's team, then we start to really uncover how it affects us personally. So living consciously is moving us from a fear-based survival to thriving, to creating a world in which we can all thrive. And that's real science, that's practical. There's psychology, there's neurobiology, there's physiology, there's physics behind all of that. So when we all want to live a better life, then we have to look inside and ask, what does it take? It takes three things. It takes action, it takes perseverance, and it takes facing our fears. All of those require two things, education and inspiration. Science brings us into an understanding of nature. It makes the intractable tractable. We help understand our nature, our own human nature, how it is that these amazing feats of engineering, our bodies, which is run by the central servo of the brain, are able to do what they do. What is it that animates this body? It's our spirit.
Okay, beautiful. Wow, what a beautiful piece there. So, Dr. Roshanak, yeah, thank you for that. And then that's the global gathering that was very recent for Changing Humanity's Future. Boy, we've got, wouldn't you know, we got stuff pouring in here, and we got 10 minutes left in the program. So, somebody just said, what a great program. And that was actually moved off the monitor, so other things can be put on the monitor. But it says, I love this program. So thank you. Joan says, I love this program. Let me just get to a few of these here real quick. So this is in the green room. So these are Humanities Stream Plus members. Elizabeth brings in great reminder. The person next to me may be awakened easily if I speak, might miss it all if I didn't. So this is Elizabeth. Thank you. She's going right to activism. And then it says, let those around me watch me take a moment, be still, then act. Rather than react, be an example. So perfect. Yeah, Elizabeth, nicely, yeah, said. Thank you. So I think she just wanted to bring in that comment. And then Suzanne is saying, where do I find the Clubhouse community? So do one of you, Jacqueline, do you want to share? How do they find the Clubhouse community?
Actually, there was also a comment where someone said, I'd love to join Clubhouse, but it's not compatible. So you can download Clubhouse either through the Apple iPhone store, right? If you have an iPhone, the Apple store, or you can download it on Google Play, and it is compatible with any device that you have that would use Google Play or the Apple store. And so everybody should be able to have compatible software. If you continue to have an issue, then please let us know, because there should be no issues in downloading that. Jacqueline, I'm going to come over to you to answer the question.
Yeah, I just see Louise shaking your head. I see that, Louise. So I'm not sure if your phone is an older model, but even an older model should probably take it. But it may be to the point that you have a phone that is If it's that much older, it just won't be able to download the apps, and that's some of the challenges. Unfortunately, you cannot do Clubhouse from your laptop at this point. They've kept it to phones only, and yes, it works for Android and for Apple.
However, what we do have are all of the sessions with Neil are recorded. And even though you may not be able to, and hopefully you will be able to, maybe update the software on your phone. I don't know what the issue is. But are you not able to download it from the store? Are you able to download other things? That's the first question I would ask to troubleshoot. But if you cannot make it to directly ask the question, what you can do is listen to what's known as the replay. They're recorded. And that you can listen to from your computer. So typically, I think, Jacqueline, you do it also. I post when we have our conversations with Neil, and maybe we can combine it with Humanities Team to give the link. In fact, the link for Humanities Team Club has all the replays at the bottom. So all the conversations that we've had with Neil, that others have come in, all the questions they've asked, and all the answers he's given, those are all available in Humanities Team Club, and you can at least listen to those.
There was one question in the chat, and I'm just going to address it. And it's, okay, I've downloaded the app, now what? Because lots come up. And so I just want to address that really quickly. What you can do is when you download the app on your phone, at the very bottom bar, there is a search button. And it's a circle with a little, it looks like a magnifying glass. And you can hit that circle and it says search Clubhouse. And you can literally key in Humanities Team, and it will take you to the club that we run. And you can join that club, and then you will be notified when rooms are going to become available. I will say, and Steve, I apologize for this one. This is our fault. Neil was not able to make it today. He's just let us know because some family has come into town for the holidays. So we will be back next week on the 28th. That room is already scheduled. And you can actually hit a bell when you go into the Humanities Team Club. You will see that room within that club, and you can hit a little bell that you'll get a notification. And when the next room comes up, yes.
For those who are not familiar with what a room is, that just simply means the event.
It's the event. Yeah, it's an event listing. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. You're right.
All right, so you want to be
but you
sure
can, or put it in your calendars. That's what I do. I put it in my calendar, and I'll open the app on that day at that time, and that event will pop up for you within the app.
On the Humanities Team website, up there at live events and navigation at the top, when you pull that down, again, you'll see a whole calendar. It actually has the link, the Clubhouse link right there.
Exactly.
So you can copy the link.
It goes straight to
just drop you right into that room. So that'll, and I think.
And Steve, I have put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
I put that link right in the chat for everybody.
Be sure to come back next Wednesday to catch that conversation then with Dr. Rowshanak, Jacqueline, and Neil Donald Walsh. And we do have two other programs today in Humanities Team. So one is at 4 o'clock Pacific. We've got the Next 12 Steps, it's called, and that's an hour-long program. And then I think it might be at 6 p.m., but right after the Next 12 Steps, Jonathan Goldman and Andy Goldman, his wife, he's this huge pioneer in sound healing. They're doing a winter solstice live program tonight. So links to both of these other programs that are live today are on the Humanities Team page in the live events. You can pull it down, and there's a link right there, and it'll just take you right in. So don't miss it. And then tomorrow night, we've got Stephen and Kevin with this program. I think it starts at 5:30 Mountain, so that's 4:30 Pacific. Which is a Qigong-based program that's amazing. I won't try and read out the list of all the live events, but this is the really neat thing about Humanities Stream Plus. It has these hundreds of video trainings, but there's also a place for live programs like this where you come in and you want to share something, and we have dialogue back and forth. And some of these programs even get into some of these practices we're talking about, like Qigong and other kinds of practices, where we're just going right down into the stillness, into that oneness, into the inner domain. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so somebody wants to know, how do I friend Jacqueline Way and Dr. Roshanak on Facebook? So can you share how are you set up on Facebook so they can friend you?
Yeah, you bet.
Unfortunately, I'm not on Facebook. I am on Instagram and I'm on Clubhouse and Twitter, but not on Facebook. Sorry. And
What's your
my
handle? What's your
Yeah,
handle?
my handle on all of them. So my organization is called Access to the Path. And on all social media platforms, I am Access to the Path.
Okay, Access to the Path. So you can Google. In fact, you can Google Dr. Rowshanak Access to the Path. She'll come right up, and then you'll get tied into all of her stuff there. So, and
Also
Jacqueline?
on Clubhouse, if you go into either Jacqueline's name, you can, as she said, the magnifying glass, you can look up Jacqueline Way, or you can look up Rowshanak Hashemiyoon. And at the bottom, we have like bios. We have something written there. And at the bottom are our Instagram and our Twitter. And you can just click on it and it takes you right into those as well.
Okay, fantastic. Good, good. All right. And Jacqueline, on Facebook, how do people find you?
You know, I am at 365 Give just about anywhere. I am personally on Facebook, but honestly, I don't use it for personal much. So if you want to find us, you go to at 365 Give, and we are on all social handles under that name. So you will find us there. And thank you so much, Steve, for having us today. And thank you, everyone, for coming and being part of the conversation. So appreciate you all being here. Jerry, see you, Dallo, Carol. Maureen, thank you, my friend. Gwyneth, like what a treat to have you all here and be in person like this. So thank you so much.
And I'm very jealous that Jacqueline gets to see you and I don't, but I appreciate you bringing up the name so that I can at least imagine, I can live vicariously through you. And I echo what Jacqueline just said. We're so grateful for the opportunity to come together with you. And hopefully this is just the first of many.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely the first of many. Why would we not have Jacqueline and Dr. Roshanak back soon? So we will. Yeah, they're brilliant and they're just lovely people and they're activists out in the world. So let me throw a few more calls to action at you. So one is, if you resonate with the conversation we're having, and of course, we've been talking about things like going to Clubhouse, and yes, please do that, watching our live programs and all of these things. But specific calls to action, specific to changing humanity's future. Okay, so one is go to changinghumanitiesfuture.org, read about this initiative, how it got started, what it is, what the core wisdom is, and then just sit with that wisdom. The wisdom stands on its own, okay? You don't need to believe in God. You don't need to ever have read Conversations with God or care one iota about Humanities Team or Neil Donald Walsh, or you don't need to believe in science. You don't need to have followed any of the recent research. You don't need to believe in any of that or have interest in any of that. Just sit with the wisdom on the Changing Humanity's Future site. With everything going on in the world, just ask yourself the question, now, is there a better way to live? Just ask yourself that question. Is there a better way to live? And then just really sit there in your prayer or meditation or silence or however you do it. But really connect then with your own then higher self and what you're being called to. So, and of course, if there's a better way to live, my God, go do that. But if you resonate with this wisdom, then my God, join us. There, right on the page, it says, join the initiative. Join the initiative. There's also action steps. The action steps button is going to go in lots of different directions over 18 years. Where it goes right now are just to these internal action steps, the things we can do to live more consciously. So for example, the first action step in there is this perennial wisdom that says, go within and then feel into that still small voice that's within you and then allow yourself to be guided by it. That's all. That's the first action step. There are others that are quite powerful there. And spend some quality time there if you resonate with these action steps. These are things we believe in the Humanities Team and with Conversations with God Foundation and Neil, and I don't want to, I think Dr. Roshanak and Jacqueline and all these people that we work with, these are we have practices that are slightly different, some more meditation, some more prayer, some more music, some more painting, some more walking through the woods, but we're going, to finding this quiet space that's internal, where we're guided, out onto this path in our homes, in our communities, and in the world, and we find true health and well-being. I love Silicon Valley, where everybody says, "Oh, that's the land of riches. Boy, American dream. Go to Silicon Valley." I'm like, I got a big stop sign up. No, been there, done that, and there's some beautiful people there, by the way. But if that whole thing of that you read about American Dream, if that's why you're going there, no, you don't need to go to Silicon Valley. Well, we're talking about this journey into conscious living. There we go. The universal dream. Now we're gonna no more fool's gold. Let's hold the real gold. No more illusions. Let's look into what really works, real happiness. Let's do that. So join us. These are calls to action. If any of this makes sense, join us. You'll see Jacqueline and Dr. Roshanak back as we're doing global gatherings and on Clubhouse every week, talking about things you can be doing. If you like the idea of the video trainings, wow, we're doing one right now called Life After Death. It's with Wayne Dyer's youngest daughters, so Sage Dyer and Serena Dyer, and then also this renowned medium, Karen Noe. This is the particular program we're focusing on right this moment. And all I can say is wow, because if you thought Wayne Dyer is dead, and he did pass in 2015, go watch the free program. Go watch this free program that's part of Life After Death, because it's going to blow you away when you hear what his daughters and Karen Noe have to say. Okay, with that, thank you viewers for spending this hour with us. Jacqueline Way, thank you. Dr. Roshanak, thank you. Just gratitude. And we're going to pull the camera back so I can just honor our team here. Jim Gray, there we go. So that's me on the couch, and there's Jim Gray over there. So this is our little studio where we do our live programs every Wednesday, sometimes on Fridays now too. So Jim, thank you. Thanks for making everything work here for us. We appreciate it also. Garth Catterall, Dee Meyer, Andy Guski, Nanette Kennedy. So thank you to my partners and colleagues that make this whole thing possible. Really appreciate it. We're off the air next Wednesday, just taking a little break because it's time to be with family. So hey, all of you, just have a loving, fantastic, joyful, fun time here with your family and friends. Thank you for being with us today. And we'll be back on the air with you real soon, here, week after next. Okay. Love and blessings, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Peace and blessings. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye.